Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Fridays Live. My name's Ellie. I'm Senior Community Executive at Findmypast. And this is Fridays Live. This is the slightly slower time of the week where we get together and we talk about Findmypast's latest family history records. We do many tutorials. We talk about family history discoveries, and it's just a place for us all to relax, a place for us to natter, and a place, of course, for us to share our weather reports from around the UK today. It has not been that great here in Edinburgh today. It's drizzling a little bit. I do have shorts on, but I think that's more the fact that it's muggy with the temperature rather than the fact that it's raining outside. But hey ho, please tell me how your week's been. I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from today? What's the weather like with you? What have you been up to? How are you doing? I want to hear all of that, please. Thank you. So we've got Sarah with us from Wexford. Hello. We've got Daphne with us from a cloudy but warm Somerset. We've got Roz tuning in from sunny Massachusetts. I feel like it's always sunny in Massachusetts with you, Roz, and I'm rather jealous. We've got Anita with us today. I did not just highlight Anita's one. I highlighted somebody else's. I'll come back. Anita says it's been a while, nice and warm in Lincoln. I like Lincoln. It's 16 degrees thunder expected on Vancouver Island. I want to go to Stephanie says she's watching from sunny South Wales whilst visiting family. That sounds lovely. I was in South Wales a few weeks ago. Herefordshire, South Wales, Monmouthshire, that sort of area. It was very nice. We've got Andrew joining us from a overcast but warm Lancashire. We've got Heather from a rainy Edinburgh. Yes, it is. It is raining a little bit. Rosie joining us. Hello. Andrea from Stoke-on-Trent. It's sunny there. Good. It's a dank Northern Ireland coast, says Linda. Dark? No, dank. I think you're doing dank. We've got lots of you here today. This is so good. Fantastic. So what are we going to be doing today? What are we going to talk about? So we are going to obviously do new records. We are also going to do a short tutorial on a less well-known feature, I think, on the Findmypast website. And I wanted to highlight it just in case you guys didn't know it was there. If I can help just at least one person find something new, I will consider my my job done for the week. So I'll be really happy. Some of you may already know it's there. If not, I want to hear. I want to hear if it's oh, I didn't know that was there, etc. I want you to tell me these things, because only then can we improve them for you. I'm also going to do a whistle-stop tour of a record collection, which is, I think it's quite well known. It's not really a hidden gem, but you can often find some things in there that you didn't quite expect. Like there's much more detail in there than a lot of other record collections. And again, if I can just help one person, inspire them to go and look in these records and then find something really cool, I will be happy. I will be a happy bunny, and I will be, I'll be having a good weekend if that's the case. Let's get my weekend off to a great start. Yes. Question of the week this week is, which record collection turned out to be surprisingly useful for your research? So one you didn't think would be useful at all, and you thought, oh, I'll just check it anyway, you know, in the interest of checking all resources. And then it turns out that you've made a really cool discovery from it, or it's broken down a brick wall. That's the kind of thing I want to hear about today. Lovely. Okie dokie. Couple of housekeeping things. You may or may not know that we are doing another 50% off 1921 census purchases, and it's not just for 24 hours this time. We're doing it all bank holiday weekend because we love you that much. So yeah, 50% off all transcripts, all images, and the discount is automatically applied, so there's no code you have to enter or anything, which is super handy. And that ends at 23:59 on Monday. So UK time, just before midnight on Monday. So it's valid now. You can go and explore now, and it ends just before midnight on Monday. So yeah, 50% off. Woohoo! So yeah, there's that. And also I wanted to say, with what Jen was chatting about last week with the a drop-in research session, we have talked about how we're going to do this. We are currently putting together the Savoy event that we are hosting in September. We are busy beaving away planning for that. And I think once that is out of the way, Jen and I will seriously look at these research drop-in sessions and we'll let you know more as we firm them up a little bit. And also remember, we are always looking for really cool discoveries that you guys make in the 1921 census. Please email them into us at discoveries@findmypast.com. Did it knock down a brick wall for you? Did it solve a mystery? Did you crack a case? We want to know, because you could have the opportunity to feature your story in the news. That would be really cool, right? You could be famous. You could be in a newspaper. You could even be on TV. Who knows? Who knows? Depends on how cool the story is, right? So yeah, send those our way. We want to hear from you. Okay, let's do new records. And there's quite a lot to get through this week. And I'm just going to share some slides. There we go. These are ones I prepared earlier. So this is what we've got this week. First up, we've got the Genealogical Society of Ireland journals. These are really, really great for social history, particularly seeing what Irish genealogists were writing about 2 decades ago. The society was originally founded as the Dún Laoghaire Genealogical Society back in 1990, and they've been publishing these journals since 1992. Really great for pulling out stories of what your Irish ancestors might have been involved in or experienced, like this one, for example. This was really cool. I say cool, probably not the right word. This is a commentary on the Boyd Memorial, and the Boyd Memorial commemorates the victims of a storm in 1861. And the story behind this was that the HMS Ajax was a 74-gun Royal Navy ship. It was launched in 1809. It fought in the Napoleonic Wars, which is pretty cool. And then in 1861, there was reportedly like the worst storm in memory near Dún Laoghaire, and 29 ships were lost. And the captain of HMS Ajax, John Boyd, he organised rescues to try and go and rescue people from this storm. But he and also 5 members of his crew were lost in the rescue attempts. So just one small example of the kind of things that you can find in these records. We've also added some more records into the Britain marriage licenses. Now, originally, these records were only available as an image browse, so you weren't able to search by name, things like that. They weren't indexed. So we have transcribed around 218,000 of these records, and they're mainly for Norfolk. Now, I'm just going to take a sip of water. This is what happens when I talk too much. And yeah, so they're mainly for Norfolk, and they cover 1557 to 1915, I think. And this is one of the cool records we found in this record collection. This is the marriage of Lord Nelson's illegitimate daughter, Horatia Nelson. She married a chap called Philip Ward in 1822. She was born in 1801 to Lord Nelson and Emma, Lady Hamilton, and she was married to a chap called Sir William Hamilton. She was baptised as Horatia Nelson Thompson. After William died. She was 2 years old. Emma and Nelson were listed as her godparents, not her parents. And in fact, if you have a look at this transcript, there's no parents listed because her parents were listed as her godparents, because of course she was born out of wedlock, which was apparently awful. Different times, I suppose. Next up, we've got grand jury presentments. I'll just flick over to the next slide for you. So these are OCR. You won't be able to search these by name. You can search by year, and you can search by book type. So these are local government records for County Waterford, for things like roads, bridges, railways, public buildings. So if you're wondering whether your ancestor will be in these records, they may be in them if they were a member of the local health services, a supplier of goods, they paid a fee or a tax, requested assistance, or were an orphaned or deserted child. Definitely worth taking a look, particularly if you have ancestors from County Waterford, and also because I saw something on Twitter about this the other day about how Irish genealogy is always painted with the brush of, oh, there were no records left, oh, they all got destroyed. Yes, some did get destroyed, but not all of them did. And this is just a really good example of ways that a record collection like this you can hopefully fill in some gaps. Great. Okay. And next up, when I say book type as well, these include account books, contractor certificates, memorandum books, things like that. So here's a page, for example, from the memorandum books in 1800. Now, I couldn't transcribe the entire thing for you, but I think it says something along the lines of resolved that Cornelius Bolton, Edward Lee, a chap called Caro, a chap called Richard somebody, and William Newport be appointed as a committee to something. Proposals for the making of maps from the county of Waterford, and that they do advertise for proposals between this and the next assizes and lay them before the next grand jury and take other steps, and shall expedite the procuring of said maps on the government terms. I think that's roughly what it says. As I said, it was quite tricky to read for me, but just as an example of what you can find. Okay, look, let's have a quick look at newspapers, shall we? This is what's new this week. So there's 11 new titles here, if I've counted correctly, late on a Friday afternoon, where numbers just don't seem to mean a thing to me. I don't know if anybody else is similar. So yes, a real another bumper week for our newspapers. Our Boston Spa scanning team are absolutely smashing it. Absolutely amazing. Yes, with the newspapers, Andrew, yeah, it's a lot. There's something like 305,000 pages that were scanned and added this week, which is pretty good. So thank you to the Boston Spa team. We love you. New titles including the Pembrokeshire Herald and the Halstead Gazette, and many updated titles. And if I put a list on here, it wouldn't fit on the slide and we'd be here all day. Go check the book. In terms of who's manning the comments today, Jen is going to be here. She's coming from a meeting, so she will be here shortly. So unfortunately, you'll just have to wait for her for answers to specific questions that I don't get to, I'm afraid. Yeah, so that is the new records for this week. Oh yes, let's not spoil that. Okay, let's remove my slides and we'll do a question of the week. And I'm just going to pop it on screen. There we go. Which record collection turned out to be surprisingly useful for your research? This is what I want to know this week. And hopefully, if you say, oh, this record set knocked down a brick wall for me, hopefully somebody else will see it and they will go and have a look. And hopefully it will be really useful to them as well. So in the spirit of collaboration, this is what I want to hear about this week. So I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top. There we go, scrolled. I'm going to see if I've missed any here. Okay, we're going to go and have a look now. I'm scrolling. Sylvia says, a will extract from my great-great-grandfather who died in 1818. A will extract, so that you didn't think that was going to be useful and suddenly it was. That's really cool. Andrew said he's already found things in the marriage license. Yay, that's what I like to hear. Fantastic. Okie doke. What else have we got here? Christine says, newspapers from 1915 found a report of my great uncle who died aged 10, drowned in the Ashton Canal in Manchester. Report says that the lockkeeper was at fault because he failed to react to the boy's friend's cries for help. Oh, that's so sad. I started off reading that with a smile and then realized it was quite a sad discovery, but amazing that you've got the report of it. That's really sad. Age 10. It's no age at all, is it? Heather says the Scottish Roman Catholic records found 5 half-sisters for my dad, loads in the newspaper records, including my grandfather, sentenced to 60 days for domestic violence. Goodness me. This is the thing with the newspapers. They are utterly fantastic because they are wonderful. But you never know what you're going to find, and not all of it is going to be particularly pleasant reading. I guess that's just the chance we take as family historians, really, isn't it? We never know what skeletons we're going to find in the closet. But yes, the Roman Catholic records, particularly the Scottish ones, yeah, those are really good. I really like the we've got some for Liverpool as well, and they're also really good. I'm hoping one of these days to come across the baptism of my nana, because I think she was baptized Catholic. Her mother's family were definitely Catholic because they came over from Northern Ireland, and I know they were definitely Catholic. So yeah, there we go. What else have we got here? Andrew saying Will's told me not just about my ancestors, but also about how they lived. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get an idea of sometimes these wills, they'll include an address, and you can go look up the address on an internet search and see what it looks like. You could look it up in census records and see how many rooms it had. You can also get an idea of, in terms of what they left in their will, how much that would equate to today in terms of their estate. What I also find quite interesting with the wills is I always like to look for who they left the money to, who they left their estate to. I find that particularly fascinating because it really gives you an insight into who they wanted, just who they wanted to leave their estate to, really. And sometimes if they've got, got children and bypassed the children and gone to a friend or something, or if they've not got children or not got a spouse, and then who they felt closest enough to leave their estate to. I just find it really interesting. Sandy says the 1921 census broke down my 30-year brick wall. Yes, this is why we do what we do. Love it. I would love to hear more about this, Sandy. Please email us at discoveries@findmypast.com. Please email us. I want to hear the story. I want to hear the full story if you're not up for sharing it on here. Okay, another one here. Newspapers never cease to cast light on our ancestors. Just been transcribing one from one of my local rags, updated today. Yes, it's good. This is what's so good about the newspapers. They are, not only are they updated every single week with new pages and things like that, but a lot of them are really local newspapers. So you get the local government stuff, you get the local crime, you get school results, exam results, competitions, you get all of that stuff. And if your ancestor was from a town or a village where you're not particularly familiar with, these newspapers can go a really long way in helping to build up that bigger picture in your mind of the reality in which your ancestor lived, in the town or village in which they lived. I think they're fab. I'm a big newspaper lover. I think they're great. Absolutely great. Karen says 1921 census found my granddad after years of not finding much. His place of birth on there broke that brick wall forever. Oh, so good. So good. This is like my bread and butter, everybody. This is what I live for. I live for things like this. You guys telling me that you're breaking brick walls with family history records, particularly our family history records, just because I'm like that. But yeah, it's really, really good. Sarah says, probate records on Family Search found granduncle who was missing for 30 years. He died in 1930. Oh, this is the thing when somebody disappears from the records and then suddenly there's just that one record set that just, yeah, it's really special when that happens. Really special. Ingrid says, newspapers found that 2 out of the 4 of my paternal grandfather's brothers were both convicted, one for smuggling and the other burned down his wife's business for the insurance money. Sounds like a keeper. On my maternal side, I found an article with a photo of my great-great-grandmother. It described what a fine member of the community what she was. Oh, love it when you guys find photos. That's so cool. I've actually been working on a little research project, which I can't talk too much about at the moment. But every time I've been looking for these particular group of people, I always finish up with the newspapers, and I'm praying that I come across a photograph of one of these people that I'm looking for. I think it will happen. It's just not happened yet. But that would just be the cherry on the cake for me. I'd be really happy. Matthew says inventories have been invaluable on top of wills for me. Gives you a real idea of the types of belongings, helps you build up a great picture of the people and how they lived. Yes, and Andrew absolutely agrees with you. Lovely. Anya says, all records, there are going to be some gems to find when you scrutinise them. I'm using DNA just now and finding the records to confirm what cousins have in the trees. The sponsors and witnesses from baptisms and weddings are well worth noting down, as they're probably relations or close friends. Fan research. What a shame Jen isn't here, because we've always mentioned fan research and she's not even here yet. She's still in her meeting. So when she hops into the comments later, you'll have to draw her attention to this. But yes, I completely agree. There's always going to be something new. If you scrutinise a record well enough, there's always going to be something that you can pick up on. There's so many examples I talk about all the time with my own research, particularly the 1911 census of my two times great grandparents. And I thought that my two times great grandmother had filled herself out as the head of the household. It turns out it wasn't her that did that. It was actually her husband that did that. So yeah, scrutinize away, basically. And Georgia says, I found a newspaper article on my great grandparents, helped to confirm the approximate dates they moved from Islington to Walthamstow. Yes. Oh, good, you guys. This is fantastic. I love to hear all of this. As I said, I live for this sort of stuff. You guys breaking down brick walls, making new discoveries, using record collections that you wouldn't normally have used. Yeah, really, really good. Okay, who is up for a tutorial? I'm just going to remove my banner. What we're going to have a look at today is, again, it was something that I was trying to think of things on the Findmypast website that might not be immediately obvious. And if you didn't know they were there, you wouldn't know they were there. Is a very convoluted way of saying. So we're going to have a look today at the 1939 register map search. So it's a really fun tool. I use this an awful lot, and it was built to help you search the 1939 register by address. And it's also a really great way of visualizing how an area changed over time. So I'm going to show you how to find it. I'm going to show you how to search it as well. And I'm also going to use I've prepped a case study to show you how it's been useful for me, and I hope that it will inspire you to go and check it out. And if the comments go really quiet, I know you are all going to have a look at this yourselves and trying it out while I'm talking about it. So to find the map search, what you want to do is you want to come to the Findmypast homepage. You want to log in, come to your dashboard and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Then I want you to click 1939 register. And this comes to our 1939 register search page. Then what you want to do is you want to click map search. So what you can do here is you can add in a street plus a town separated by commas. You can add in just a town. You can add in a postcode, or you can add in latitude and longitude. You can also click use my current location. If you allow your internet browser to access that, you can just click that and it will, if you wanted to look at it from your current location. I'm not going to search anything just now. I'm just going to click search. I'm going to go over here and this is what it looks like. So this has got 3 layers of maps. It's got a modern one. But if you click down here where it says select a historical map, it's also got 1937 to 1961 and 1888 to 1913. And you can toggle between those like so. Okay. So when I say that these maps have got year ranges, this is because the maps aren't the same date for everywhere, if that makes sense. They're pieced together from OSM and NLS maps. So just bear this in mind. So you might be looking at, I don't know, somewhere in Herefordshire on, the older map. And then you might look at somewhere in, I don't know, Norfolk, and those maps are actually from slightly different years. Just bear all that in mind. And also with the toggle for the historical maps, these are only available for England, Wales and Scotland. As you can see, it does not cover Ireland. It doesn't cover Northern Ireland either. I'm really sorry. It's just how it is just now, I'm afraid. So as I said, you can search by streets, you can search by village, you can search by a postcode, you can search by lat long as well. So for example, if I wanted to see where I used to live in a university, I could put this in and click search. And there we go. This brings up the town of Egham. And it's automatically gone to the 1937 to 1961 map. And then what's quite handy is if you are using this to search for someone in the 1939 register, it then will pull out the households on this particular street like that. And then what you can do is you can click into them, and then they've also got a list of the households as well. So it's really handy if you're searching for the 1939 register and you want to search it in a slightly different way, if you're wanting to search by address in particular rather than just by name. Also good to see who else is living in the same sort of area as well without just opening up the original record. But what I really like to use this for is to see how an area changes over time. And I'm going to use a small example of that. So we're going to use the example of where my grandmother used to live, in Melodon in North Wales. So this is Melodon here. This is what it looks like today. This was her road. She used to live along here. She doesn't anymore. Cute little town, old mining town. But I've often wondered how it changed over time, considering I know that it was an old mining town. And you can see, as you come into Melodon from Dizeth and Rill, you can see on the right-hand side, there's a big old mining shaft that's just been left there. And then there's if you go, just as you come into the town as well, on the right-hand side, there's a memorial, like some sort of memorial to mining workers. So obviously it's not a mining town anymore, a mining village anymore, but it used to be. And I started to wonder how that had changed over time. You know, how has my second home, in effect, because I spent like my weekends here, how has that changed over, say, the past 150 years? And this tool can help me do that. I'm going to show you how. So what we're going to do is, so this is where I'm looking at here. This is the area I'm looking at, just here. I'm going to go back in time. So I'm going to go back to the 1937 to 1961 map. And here we have it. Okay, so this is the junction I'm looking at here. This is the church just here. You can see that denoted by a cross. You've got a building here that's labelled as a school. And I know that there's also here, there's a public house. So there's a pub there. So great. Fantastic. That is pretty much how I knew it when my grandmother lived there, although the building that was a school used to be it's like a community hall. We used to actually host church events in there. So I know now that used to be a school. Great. Fantastic. Already learned something. And if I zoom out as well, I can also see that, you know, you've got old mining shafts here. Another one here, old quarry, old mining shafts, all along here. Really, really fascinating. And the fact that, you know, Roman coins were found here, apparently in 1911. You've also got the ruins of Dizeth Castle. My husband and I walked up there one day a couple of years ago, and there's like nothing there bar a couple of war ruins, but you can really get a sense for how big it was just from those. It was really quite fascinating. Anyway, moving on. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to go back to the oldest map, so the 1888 to 1913 map here. So, oh, it zoomed out for me. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Melodon, here we go. So this is the area I'm looking at here. This is the junction. This is my grandma's old road. So I've got here a post office. I think P8PO is post office. So in fact, I already knew that my hold on, let me think about this. My great grandfather's sister married a family who used to live in that post office, and it's still in the family, that property. Actually, it's not a post office anymore. But yeah, so I know that at this point, this sort of area in time, that it was a post office. So yeah, that's really cool. And what I found really interesting when I first looked at this, I'm like, that's the school, great, okay. This is the pub, the Red Lion, great. The church, yeah, that's where I was baptized. That's where my mum and dad got married. I think that's also where my grandparents got married. It's where my grandfather is buried, for example, all of that. But then I noticed this. Can you see this here? I wondered what that was, because that's not there. It's not there either. There's a whole other set of buildings here that would have been on the site of the pub car park. I don't remember them being there either. So at some point, there were another set of buildings and they were demolished. So immediately I start thinking, well, what were they? Shall we go and have a look at some more? So what I did then was I went and looked for old photos of Melodon on the interweb. Clever name, isn't it? The interweb. And I'm just going to remove that. I'm just going to add this in. And I found this photograph and on the internet. So what you can see here in the middle, on the slightly on the left-hand side, you can just see the church gate in black and white jutting out. And then just before it, you've got some houses. So what seems to be the case is that on the site of the pub car park, between the pub and the church, at one point was some houses. And I actually did a bit of reading on these houses, and I discovered that there were 7 cottages in a row, and they were known as Tai Cochion, or red cottages. And then I had to go and find out some more. So I found this. This is from the Rill Journal, 1897. And it tells me that all 7 cottages were bought by Miss Frances Williams for £222 and 10 shillings. 7 cottages. Goodness gracious me. And then later on, I think this one was something like 1927, I think. I can't remember the date of this one. Not the date. Oh, have I missed one? Am I missing one? No. I did, anyway, I found another one. I found another newspaper report that was from something from 1927, and it said it was talking about the unsanitary conditions. And I wonder if this was the beginning of the plan to demolish these cottages and not have them anymore, which is really sad. Jen is joining us now, everybody. So please say hi to Jen. She's just come from a meeting and she's probably really tired after that meeting and is still here to say hello to you all and to support in the comments. Yay! And yes, so more about these cottages. So I found number 7, Tai Cochion, in the 1911 census, and you've got a postman and a boot repairer called John Pierce and his family. Then at number 4, there was Thomas Parry and his Jersey-born wife, Harriet. He had to make his mark on this census. The enumerator filled it out for him. The same can be said for the people at number 2 and also the people at number 1. So they couldn't write their own census forms, which I don't see very often, actually. Especially in the 1911 census, I don't see, they had to make their mark very often. I see that more in marriage records or baptism records and things like that. So immediately I was intrigued by this. And then I also found one of the cottages in the 1921 census. So you've got Joseph Henry Thomas. He's a limestone quarry worker. He's out of work. His wife, his daughters, and his son. There are also 4 boarders, and this was a 2-roomed cottage. And you've got, 9 people living here? 9, 10 people? I mean, I start to think, when I'm piecing this together and I'm piecing that with the newspaper article that I found about the unsanitary conditions, I don't have to wonder why they demolished the cottages. So there we go. That is my little trip into the 1939 Register map search and how I use it. And I hope it will be useful for you as well. Yeah, please let me know if it's useful for you. Great. We are on 25 to 5. I do have to finish quite promptly today as I have to present something at our 5 o'clock Friday meeting. I might have lost my voice by that point. This could be interesting. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick look at the comments and then we will move on to my last point of order for the day. Yes, we have been talking about fan research, Jen. We did it without you here. Really sorry you missed it. I just have to catch up on it. Lovely. Thank you, Daphne. I hope that was interesting and I hope that it's useful for you. That's what I hope more than anything, that it will be useful for you guys. That is what I would ideally like to happen. What might be quite fun as well, if we've got a little bit of time at the end, maybe you guys can drop a location, a town into the comments and we'll see if we can bring it up on the maps and we'll have a wee explore. Should we do that? Great. Okay, yes, lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, just flicking through. Lots of people saying hi to Jen, which is good. Fantastic. Hello, Philomena. Can you explain why a house in 1939 in Railway View, Castleton, Rochdale is transcribed as being in Shore, along with a map of Railway View, Shore? I don't know without having a look. Please, could you grab the link and send it to our customer support team, support@findmypast.com, and we'll take a look for you. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's do the next thing I wanted to look at today. So I was trying to think about what record collection that is already on Findmypast, and if you've not looked at it yet, no worries, and I just hope that this will inspire you to do so. As I said at the beginning, this is not a particularly obscure record collection. It's actually one of our biggest record collections on Findmypast. But what I think is particularly good about this one is the sheer amount of extra detail you can find just by skimming through the images. Jen's looking at me like this, and she's trying to think, oh, I wonder what record collection she's going to talk about. Can you guess, Jen? Can you guess? Can you guess? If I told you the record collection was from the National Archives, there was around 8 million records in the collection from various different bits. There's loads in there. And that if you open up the originals and you skim through the images, there are lots of particular documents for one person in that one file. Can you guess what it is? Can you guess what it is? We are going to have a look at British Army Service records. Yay! These are just, I love these records so much. It's huge, right? This collection is huge. It's over 8 million records, and it dates from 1760 to 1939. They're from our friends at the National Archives. Thank you so much, National Archives. We love you. To find it, you can either add it as a record set filter when searching from the military records category, or you can go to all record sets and choose the collection from there, which is what I've done here. There are a number of search filters that you can use, such as the service number, the regiment, the birthplace, the series, and also the optional keywords. Each record has a transcript and an original image. I'll come back to this. The detail can vary based on when the record was created and the purpose it was created for as well. You can find things like the rank, the unit, the attestation, age and date, the residence, next of kin, pension details, details of their service, physical descriptions, injuries, and more besides. This is a real treasure trove of information. And the way it's organised is that all forms for one person for their time in that particular regiment, it's normally all in one folder, it's all in one document, which means that you open up the first page from the transcript and then you just click the arrows and you can just flick through them. Really handy. Be aware as well that the British Army didn't actually have a central record keeping system until like the First World War. So before then, what you get is based on details from individual regiments, and how they kept their records could vary wildly. Now, in terms of what's included, they're from various different series, and there are so many of these that I've actually had to spread them across 4 slides. So if you wanted to go and look at, if one of your ancestors was a Chelsea pensioner, for example, and you needed their records, you can pick out the series number and you can just search by those particular series numbers if you wanted to. I'm just going to flick through these just to show you that they're there's loads there. Okay. Then what we want to do is I'm going to show you a wee case study. And I decided to look for overthrow because that was, I say my maiden name, I'm no longer an overthrow, goodness me. Oh, I even changed my name of the bank this week. That was an emotional time. Joking, it was all right. So there are 21 results for overthrows in these records. And actually, when I looked, some of them served in different regiments at different times with different service numbers. So when I say don't go in straight away by adding in a service number and a regiment, this is why, because some people may have served in more than one regiment, so we'll have a different regiment and a different service number. Equally, remember that regiment names could change over time as well. The wild card will be your friend here. So there we go. So this is the record for my great-grandfather, Ralph, and this is just the first page. So what we can see here are things like his address, which was 56 Umberslade Road in Selly Oak, Birmingham. We get his occupation, which was a chemist. And we also get his signature right at the bottom there. How precious is that to have my great-grandfather's signature? I also get the date, which was the 23rd of May 1916 at Warwick, and it tells me he was in the sedentary class, which I think when I spoke to Paul Nixon last, it doesn't mean he actually fought. He basically wasn't physically cut out to be a good soldier. So he did more sort of manual, sitting down work, admin, that sort of thing, worked in a factory, worked in an office, that sort of thing. I think that's what it means. Okay. And then what I do, I click the silver arrow on the image and I get more details. So on we go. This is the next page that details his physical description. I mean, if you don't have a photograph of your ancestor, this is so, so precious. So it tells me that he was 20 years old when he signed up. He was 5'2". I mean, my mum's quite short. She's shorter than I am, and I don't think I'm that tall. So yeah, maybe it's just shortness runs in the family. His next of kin, which is his father and my 2 times great-grandfather, Lewis Frank. And it tells me that Ralph isn't married at this point and he has no children. And then on the next page, we've got this, which normally is a list of their service history. So if they served abroad, for example, and the dates when they came home, all of that. Some of these will have codes on as well, and you may look at some of the codes and think, I don't know what that means. All you need to do is ask your friendly military expert. You know, if you've got a Paul Nixon in your life or somebody on a Facebook group, you can go and ask them very nicely. Or I'm sure there's a book that can probably help you with that too. So yeah, what I see here that at some point, my 2 times great-grandfather, Ralph was transferred to the Army Reserve class for employment with Messrs. Elliott's Metal Company to make ammunitions in 1917. And then in 1919, he was discharged surplus to military requirements. And I know that 2 years later, he was working as a chemist for Cadbury. And this is how he met my great-grandmother, Sarah, through his colleague, John. Yay! Cool. And then I wanted to show you this. This is a casualty form. Now, I can't really read this, but basically he apparently had poor physical development. And yeah, as I said earlier, it basically meant he was unlikely to make an efficient soldier, which is why he was in the sedentary class. And then there's this. Oh, hold on. This is the one I wanted to show you. So this is a little note that said he was transferred to the reserve because he suffered from a weakness and a nervous disability, I think that says. So this is a man I never knew. He died long before I was born. And, you know, he's obviously gone to sign up because he wants to do his bit. And basically he's told that, now you've got poor physical development, mate. You've got a nervous disposition. You're not going to make a good soldier. But he still went and did his bit, and he worked for an ammunition factory, which is really cool. I'm quite proud of him in that sense. To top it all off, I also found this. This is a letter that my great-grandfather wrote that he signed. And I couldn't believe this when I first saw it. I was utterly over the moon. And there are many other documents actually in his folder that I haven't shown you. I've just basically shown you the most interesting ones, in my opinion. But what I'm trying to tell you is that if you do have an ancestor who appears in the British Army Service Records, and you know you've gone and you've searched for them and you've opened up the record and you think, great, that's it, that's that ticked off the list. Please see if there are any other images in your ancestor's file, because you never know what you're going to find. You could come across a letter like I have. You could come across his signature. You could come across a note that says, you know, he was 5'2" and had poor physical development and things like that. You could uncover if they, you know, they served in France and then served somewhere else and then were transferred, etc. And, you know, when they came home, the dates are really, really handy actually on the service history sheet. And yeah, I even found out that he worked for an ammunition company as well. And that was really special to me. I really, really loved this little find. So yeah, give them a try, basically. They are really good records, and I don't really have much else to say on this. Now, we have finished quite early in terms of what I wanted to talk about today, but if anybody would like to have a play around with the 1939 map shirts, give me a location and we can explore it over time. So yeah, drop a location into the comments and we can go and take a look and see what we can find here. Any suggestions at all, I'm happy to go and have a look. And yeah, it's just a little bit of fun, I think. Is there a link to the photo collections? Yes, Jen will find you on in a moment, and Jenny has requested Norwich. So Norwich it is. So we'll have a look at the modern map first of all, and Norwich is obviously a city. It's not quite, Melodon doesn't really match up to it in terms of scale. So this is Norwich here. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see we've got Norwich Market. This is the modern map. Here, the castle and the castle museum and things like that. Chapelfield Gardens. Okay, let's go back in time with it, shall we? So here we go. Yep, so you can see you've still got the castle museum here. I think this means this was part of a school, I think. So if we flick back again, so you've got Chapelfield Gardens. So initially this was attached to a school. That's interesting. And look at all these like church locations you've got. This is a lot of churches. Are there still a lot of these churches here today? Don't quite know. That's a lot of churches. There's a cathedral there. Let's go back in time again, shall we? Zoom in a bit. Here we go. Gentleman's Walk. That's a good name for a street, isn't it? Theatre Street. Chapelfield Gardens, Congleton Chapel, I think that says. Got a pavilion there. I wonder if that's still there. I love looking at maps. So here we go. Here's the cathedral. You've got the Bishop's Palace, a grammar school, deanery, a cricket ground. So look at this. This is quite cool. So you've got the cathedral, and then you've also got the hospital as well. Not surprising, that's called Bishopsgate Street. You've got Cavalry Barracks, Britannia Barracks, a drill ground, a prison. Goodness me! And if we flick, so those are still there. You've still got the prison and things like that. And yeah, you've still got a prison there, and a remand centre apparently. So there you go. I don't think those barracks are there anymore, by the looks of things. Huh. Let's go somewhere else, shall we? Okay, so I know lots of churches and pubs. Yes, absolutely. Long Buckby, let's go and have a look. I'm not quite sure where Long Buckby is, but hopefully this will tell us. Ah, here we go. Hopefully this is the right one. So where are we? We are in between Warwickshire and Northamptonshire. Okay, and it's a lovely little village. This is fantastic. This should be interesting. Okay, so let's go back here. So we've got two schools. We've got an old castle, the site of an old castle. We've got a church. Farms around it as well. And we'll go back again. Got a vicarage here, a gasworks, chapel, another chapel. Vicarage was really close to the site of the castle as well. And you've got this sort of village, or is it village or a town? Looks like a little village to me. Sort of a village square there almost. Fascinating. Oh, let's do Macclesfield. Should we do one more? Macclesfield. I have to make sure I spell it right. Here we go. I'm just going to go, let's go to the modern one first, shall we? So here we go. We've got Macclesfield here. This is the modern map. You've got the this is the railway coming through here. I think that's a church there. There's the town hall, a park, King's School for Boys. Let's go back in time. Oh, we've got an infirmary here. What would we just say that was? The Sainsbury's. So on the site of the Sainsbury's, there used to be an infirmary. There you go. I know, Jen, so could I. I could literally do this all day. It would be really good. Yeah, so you've got the central station here. You've still got the railway line running through Macclesfield here. You've got the station, another station here. Because you've got two different lines there. You've got one that comes in from this direction and then one that comes in from that direction as well. You've got your school. You've got a mill here because, of course, this area was a for cotton mills and things like that. I can literally see Jen leaning forward to look. You've got like lots of hospitals here as well. Yeah, fantastic. Lots of schools, which is good. Yeah, you've got mills again here. Mill. Got the cemetery, the outskirts of the city, which is not unusual. Let's go back again. Yes, we've got a grammar school here, the infirmary again, there's a bowling green next to a public park, there's a shirt factory here. Again, that doesn't surprise me at all, given the amount of mills in the area. Lots of mills, like look at this, mill, farms, dye works, again, really not surprising. Mills. And schools near mills as well, which, again, that doesn't surprise me at all. So yeah, quite fascinating actually. I could honestly do this all day. What I find quite interesting as well is, yes, okay, you've got the main bulk of the city sort of here, but the mills and the dye works and things like that, they're not right outside the city. I mean, they're sort of on the outskirts really, but they're still reasonably central. Yes, Georgia, thank you. Macclesfield was famous for silk weavers. Yes, just this area of the world they had so many mills. Jen, you might remember a while ago we did some research into which mill was it? I can't remember the name of the mill. It's a really famous one. I've been there on school trips, but the name of it is completely. It was for the National Trust stuff we were researching. I think it was National Trust. Anywho, so yeah, that is our map search. And I hope that's been useful for you guys. So I think we will leave it there for today, if that's okay, because then I can catch my breath before I have to present at this 5 o'clock meeting. And I actually find presenting at these big company meetings more stressful than speaking to you guys. So that's always good. Yes. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Remember, we're doing 50% off 1921 census transcripts and images until 23:59 on Monday UK time. So if you've been waiting to look at the 1921 census and you're worried about price, it's 50% off this weekend, the entire weekend. You can start doing it now. Very exciting. Next week, I think you've got Liam. It was going to be Rose, but Rose is actually moving house. So we've got Liam on your good practice talking to us first. You guys are much more chill, I promise you. Much more chill than presenting to the entire company. Oh no, I'm nervous. But yes, have a wonderful weekend. Take a look at the new records, take a look at the new newspapers, and if you fancy it as well, 50% off the 1921 census. And enjoy. And we will catch you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.